Okay, welcome to the special public meeting of March 25th, 2021 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on March 4th, 2021. And this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Cassio.
Here.
Councilman DeSena.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Here.
Council President Feeney.
Here. Okay, I just want to make one announcement.
You want to
Sorry.
add the mayor and,
Oh, I'm sorry. Let the record also reflect calling via conference call Mayor Peter Calamari, Robert Tovo, Administrator, and Sue Wachowski, Township Clerk, along with Ken Power, Township Attorney. So I just want to make one announcement.
okay,
Okay, on the Township webpage, there's a link. I'm working with the president of Holy Name Hospital to get our residents vaccinated who fall into the current eligibility. So please visit that. If you are unable to visit the website, please give me a call, 201-981-2997. I will put you in touch with our volunteers. That's all I had. Okay. So now I'm going to turn the meeting over to Sue for the selection to fill a vacant council seat.
okay. You had all received the letter in your packet with 3 names that were submitted from the Republican Municipal Committee. It was dated March 19th. I sent it home with you. What we're going to do tonight is I have written the 3 names on 3 separate pieces of paper. And so the names will not be called in any particular order. I'm going to draw a name and I'm going to present that candidate to the council. And if there's a motion, there's a motion. If there's a second, there's a second. If there's a roll call, there's a roll call. We're just going to do it as if we're nominating somebody.
Okay.
Under the municipal vacancy law, we felt, Ken and I spoke, we felt this was the best way to handle it.
So
Since I'm
whoever you pull out of the hat is going to be put up first.
right here.
Okay.
I have it on TV. Anybody can see it. I have 3 pieces of paper folded. I don't know what name's on what piece of paper. And I'm going to unveil the first one. You ready? The first name is Robert Stickle.
Okay, I'll make a motion for Robert Stickle. Can I have a second?
All right. Seeing none, I have 2 pieces left in my hands. I'm going to take another one. The next candidate from the list is Thomas Sears.
I make a motion for Mr. Sears.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I'm going to do a roll call. Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
No.
Council President Feeney.
No.
Okay, and the last piece of paper I have is Victor Fedini.
I'll make a motion for Mr. Fedini.
I'll second it.
I will take a roll call. Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
No.
Council President Feeney.
No.
Okay,
Okay, so let me just go over these votes again, just to make sure, Sue, because we can move to the next step then, all right?
yes,
Just let me go through. So on the first one, Robert Sticker, we had a motion, but no second, right?
Correct?
So there was no vote, correct?
Correct?
And then we had Thomas Sears. We had a motion, we had a second, we had 2 noes and 2 yeses, correct?
Correct?
That was a tie, right?
Correct?
Okay. And then on Victor Fedini, we had a motion, we had a second, and the vote also was 2 noes and 2 yeses, so we have a tie, correct?
Correct?
Okay. So let me go to one of the statutes then. So there's the municipal vacancy law, which lays out how the names are given and the time periods for the submission of the names, the time period for the council to act. There's provision for the county committee to get involved if the council doesn't act. And that's under 40A 1611. The municipal vacancy law starts on 40A 16-1 and goes, I believe, to 23. And so in the provision of the municipal vacancy law, there is NJSA 40A 16-8, authority of mayor to vote in filling a vacancy. And that statute provides in municipalities governed by the provisions of Article 3 or 16A of the optional municipal charter law, 4069A 31 et sec and 4069A 149.1 et sec, or by the provisions of laws governing boroughs, RS 4086-1 to RS 4094-6 inclusive, a mayor shall be permitted to vote to fill a vacancy in the membership of a governing body only in the case of a tie vote. And it looks to me like that's what we have, is a tie vote.
Ken,
Yeah,
that applies to our form of government?
yeah, it does.
Because I thought it didn't apply. I thought it goes back to the county committee.
Well,
They get the pick.
the municipal vacancy law does provide that it goes back to the county committee if nothing happens. Exactly right. But this law is also in the municipal vacancy law. It's not, I mean, it's in there, and our form of government is mayor and council, which is under 4069A-31. So that's us. We're mayor
Um,
and council.
Yeah,
So per the law, you're saying that it's allowed, even that if the mayor steps in, the mayor steps in. If the mayor doesn't, then it goes back to the
Right, he's not
county
required.
committee.
Yeah, it's again, some of these things are written as may, okay? So this statute says the mayor shall be permitted. Doesn't mean that it's required, it's permitted. And the municipal vacancy law is also set up for the sequence. For example, if the mayor doesn't, and I'm not saying the mayor is, but if the mayor doesn't step in, it would go back to the county committee.
And that's 40A:16-11. Okay.
Yeah. But this does apply to the mayor and council form of government under 40A 16-8.
So under 8 is where it says the mayor can.
Mayor shall be permitted to vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mr.
it
Powell,
says the authority
I
of
disagree
mayor
with
to vote.
I disagree with your interpretation of that
Okay,
statute. I'm just saying that.
I understand.
So Councilman
I think
Casio, I have it up. Which piece of the law do you disagree with?
I disagree with our form of government that he can vote. Okay, because there's nowhere else in our form of government. I understand the municipal vacancy law. I get it. I read through it extensively. So my understanding is if there is no clear-cut winner, gets kicked back to the county committee because we can't pick within 15 days. And Ken, is there any case law where our form of government has done that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there is the
What's the case
Booker versus Rice 2012, New Jersey Super, Law Division, 2012. Newark
Right.
had a mayor and council form of government. There was a tie. Mayor Booker broke the tie. It was challenged. It went back. But, and they have a mayor council form of government. I will
That's
tell
the-
you that,
That's the large city form, correct?
yeah, same, yeah.
That's the large.
They
city.
have a large city and they had more council people, but it does say mayor and council. So,
Okay, well,
you know,
I
I mean,
think it's a different form.
let me say this. I think since I have been here, this has happened once
Mhm.
that I can recall. Maybe you were here too, Steve. I'm not even sure.
No, that did not.
That was
happen.
before you. I think only
there wasn't a tie. There wasn't a tie with it.
never been a tie. Never been a
No,
tie.
never been a tie. Correct.
It's you know, this is the first time that this has
Sure.
happened. So
No problem.
so with that, I think the mayor is permitted to break the tie if he so chooses. Permitted to vote to fill the vacancy.
Yeah, because in the court case for the Booker, it does say that they have a mayor and council form of government. If you
Yeah.
read the decision from Judge Carey, yes.
So I think we throw it over to the mayor and see if the mayor is going to exercise the permitted to vote to fill the vacancy under 40A 16-8.
Can I vote for any of the three, or I just can vote for the two that were
I
tied?
think any of the three.
Any of the three. But what does that do to the person who only got one vote?
It doesn't matter. It says you can
Okay.
fill the vacancy, and the vacancy is, it doesn't say by choosing.
Okay.
All you have to do is have a tie.
Okay.
So that's what it looks like. That's what it says.
But I thought what you read, Ken, was that he was able to break the vote of the tie.
It says a mayor shall be permitted to vote to fill a vacancy in the membership of a governing body, only in the case of a tie vote. You have a tie vote.
There was a no vote. It was a no vote on the one candidate.
I know, but this says he can fill the vacancy. It didn't. I'm just reading the statute to tell you.
I understand, Ken. That's fine.
Yeah, I
You can do
don't,
whatever you-
and I'm not saying that this answers every conceivable permutation.
Sure.
I can only read what it says, and
That's no problem, Ken. I
tell you
understand.
the truth, I didn't think that I would be even focusing on this at all.
Ken,
To be honest, because this has never happened before. But
Ken, it's Desiree. Can you hear me?
yes,
Okay. So I personally am not comfortable. Obviously, the vote is passed, but I just want to kind of put my 2 cents out there. And I'm not comfortable making this enormous decision based on 3 candidates that I have no idea why they want to run. I have not heard anything about any one of them ever wanting to run in the past, other than Mr. Sears, who was a former councilman, but I don't know of any of them wanting to have run. And so that's why I'm really reserved. It's a huge impact to the town who sits up here. So that's my only reason for not putting, really voting for either of them. And I'm hoping that there are other candidates who maybe are interested, and there's another way to do this rather than just choose the 2 because there's a tie, because that's the way it's done. If we can just kind of table it for right now. I know it's a 15-day deadline, but I'm sure there may be a couple of other candidates out there that want to actually do this.
well, the only thing I can tell you, Desiree, is there's no tabling. It's governed by the municipal vacancy law. This isn't something, the norm where you could, it's your own business. This kind of supersedes normal business. Okay, so because it's really out of, if anything, it has nothing to do with people putting in names. It's the county committee of the political party who resigned. They're the ones that come up with the candidate. It's not the council. It's not the mayor. It's not people who want to run. It's not any kind of a process other than since the party, the person who resigned was elected and he came from, or she came from a political party, that county committee controls who the people are.
I guess my issue is I have an issue blind voting for something I don't know anything about, and it feels
Okay.
like I'm making a decision for the town that I have no information on. So
Okay.
that's why I have an issue. That's all. I mean,
The only problem, and I get that, but the problem with that is that this is the method that the statute, lays out, and it also puts out a time frame too. So you can't table and start looking for other names. The county committee controls the names.
But you do have 15 days from the submission of the names, correct, Ken? For the council to act?
Yes.
Yes.
Says
So,
here, but you've acted. You've acted.
We've
I mean,
yes, and we could revisit as well
no,
if
you
someone
can't.
so
You can't.
chooses.
No, you can't unact. You acted. So,
And you can take a second vote on anything. You
no,
can bring it then.
no, not this. This is no. I mean, I'm telling you, I read the Booker case and how they did it.
Okay.
You have to follow it. As I said, unfortunately, it's
But
not.
Mr.
It's not the same as the normal, way of
I
doing.
understand they have to fill a
No
vacancy.
ordinances. So,
Mr. Pollard, so what you're saying in your legal advice to the council is that can a person that's been not nominated be chosen?
I'm saying that the statute says that the mayor shall be permitted to fill a vacancy. It doesn't say that, it doesn't say he's limited to, any particular people, just that there was a tie.
I thought you said he could break the tie.
Mike, I'm being honest with you when I tell you that I wish I could say that there's, extensive case law that has
Probably
come
not.
across this situation, but, it's not. All I
I
can
thought
tell
you
you
said
is
he
that
could break the
that's,
tie. That's all I was asking.
yeah, so.
No, I think the way it reads, Mike, is that he can he can fill the vacancy with anyone he chooses. That's really how it reads, not anyone.
I thought what Mr. Pollard had originally told us was that the mayor had the choice of breaking the tie.
Well, when I said breaking the tie, choosing.
There's an impasse.
Yeah, but out of one of the two candidates that
No.
tied, he can get to choose one of those.
No, I don't read it that way. It says to fill the
That's
vacancy.
fine. That's your legal advice. That's your legal advice. That's fine.
Well, anyway, it's up to Peter to do what he wants to do. I disagree with the interpretation of the law, but again, it's up to Peter.
Okay, Ken, so I'm just going to ask the question once more. I can vote for any one of the three names that was submitted, right?
That's what it says, to fill the vacancy.
Okay.
Or anyone you want, Pete. It doesn't have to be on the list.
No, it's got to be on the list.
Where does it say? You just said it could be.
Well, no,
he can fill a vacancy.
No, I don't think he can go outside the list.
Okay.
Ken?
Yeah.
I had a question. How does the county committee, do the candidates submit letters to the county committee? Do they just get pulled because they're part of the Republican group? How does the process work on that end?
To tell you the truth, I am not part of the county committee. I don't know how this county committee operates, so I have no idea.
Does anybody know? Maybe
This is
the mayor knows?
The county committee is an independent body that that's their domain. It's not my domain.
Right. Does anybody know, does the county committee receive information from people who are interested because they know about the vacancy? How does it work? Do we know? Somebody has to know.
I'm not a county committee member, so I can't speak either.
So I just want to know, because I just need to be clear. If we were to decide, if I said, I know you're saying it's not business like usual, Mr. Pollard, but if I was to say, all right, let's vote to revote all three again, are we allowed to do that?
No.
No.
What about the one that wasn't voted on?
He's on the list. And then the statute says to fill the vacancy, because to tell you the truth, let's assume for the moment, I'm just, again, working through this just like everybody else, but
Yeah.
let's assume for the moment that that the mayor decides not to exercise his right to fill the vacancy, right? It goes back to the county committee, and the county committee could pick anybody on that list. The county committee is not required to, what do you call it? Go with the two that had votes or didn't have votes. The county committee would just be able to pick it. That's what 1611 says. So,
Okay, so
it's up to you, Peter.
why don't we give him a few minutes to, since we've
Yeah.
never been in this position before.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting this at all. So, yeah, give me just, a minute to think about it. Okay, I will appoint Mr. Stickle.
okay, so you're voting to fill the vacancy by Mr. Stickle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So Sue,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if Mr. Stickle is available, but he could take his office immediately upon taking the oath.
Okay. I don't have any of his contact information with me, Ken.
Okay,
I can do it after the meeting. I could do it first thing tomorrow morning.
okay.
My apologies, I did not think of that.
The only way that I guess that would happen is if he was listening to this and called in.
And he's not.
Okay, guess not. Okay,
Yeah, I don't see him on the Zoom.
okay.
I will reach out to him though and make sure that I get him sworn in ASAP.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we move on with the meeting.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Welcome,
you.
Mr. Stickle.
Yes, welcome, Mr. Stickle.
Yes, welcome.
We're moving on to the general public comment portion of the meeting. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. You will be asked to state your name and address for the record, and we ask that only one person speak at a time. The time limit is 5 minutes per caller. Please note that this is public comment, and comments by the council and mayor will be at the end of the public comment section at the meeting, and no more calls will be accepted. Motion to open the public comment.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Sue?
I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody. I do now.
Motion to close.
No.
No, Mr. Ullman. Good evening, Mr.
Oh.
Ullman.
Is there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Good evening, Mr. Ullman. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
good evening. This is Michael Ullman. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue.
Good evening, Mr. Ullman. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And yourself?
Good, thank you. What can we do for you this evening?
So I had a couple of comments and observations. First, my condolences to the Cumming family on the passing of Art. Congratulations to Mr. Stickle. And my questions, have you determined, is the diesel exhaust part of the bid? It was included in Mr. Conley's presentation to the council when we were evaluating it, and I question why it would be excluded if it was. At the last meeting, Administrator Tovo mentioned work on town hall security. It's budgeted at $60,000. Has the work gone out to a bid? As I have not seen a posting on the township website. The capital plan, the only comment I have is, would you consider moving some of the operating budget, some of these items into the operating budget? Just because they qualify as a capital item doesn't mean you should plan it as a capital item. For instance, the tasers that the police department is interested in for $33,000. I think it's a 5-year plan at $6,600 a year. By the time we ban the $33K, we bond it, and then pay it off, our cost increases significantly. I think that it could also be said for the same for the Scott packs and the bottles. Those are operating items, they're consumables, and we're going to have those for till the end of time. And I would think that we'd be better to include it in our operating budget than our capital plan. Lastly, I know we're going over the library this evening. My question is, it seems that they have been giving quite a big, their budget has increased considerably. And I believe it is increased in excess of what they are allowed to do statutorily. My understanding is it can only increase year over year by the max is 15%, unless it's approved by I think it's the state librarian. At a run rate last year of 606,000, they 15% would be 697,000, and they're way above that at the 710,000. So my question is that in fact the case? Was this approved by the state librarian? Is the 15% cap included? I'm sure that our financial director, Mr. Tovo, will be able to speak to it, or the, who's the other guy? The CFO, if he shows up. Are we expecting him this evening? The other question is, well, really, that's the end of it. I guess the question on the 15% and why the significant change to the way we're funding expenses at the library. There are a couple of lines that have changed considerably, including the pension contribution. So if someone could speak to that either at the close of public comment or during the, what's it called? When the actual budget session occurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Sue, I can't move him, so. Is there anyone else who would like to speak this evening? Motion to close public comment session?
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Would Mr. Tobo, do you have any update on the diesel exhaust part of the bid?
Yes, ma'am, I do. I spoke to Mr. Connolly regarding this. I was advised that during the committee process for the planning of the building and of course the exhaust, it was decided that because the exhaust is a proprietary item, that it didn't make sense to include it in the bid, because by doing so, you would add on the contractor's markup on it rather than just paying the awarded vendor, a lower dollar amount. According to him, it was accounted for in the contingency, pay for that.
Okay, and town hall security?
Town hall security, we have the option to go out to bid, or we can award to a co-op or state contract holder for systems of this nature. We have chosen a state contract holder to provide those services.
Okay, do you have any comments about the operating budget also, since you've been working with the new CFO?
I'm sorry, the operating versus capital, or do you mean the library?
No, it first was moving tasers, which I disagree with. I think it should stay in capital, and Scott Packs and things like that. Do you have any information regarding what the town is currently doing with that before we move on?
I don't think I understand your question. What do you mean by what the town is doing with that?
Mr. Ullman asked the question of, would we consider moving those items from capital to operating?
Well, that would be a council decision whether or not to move them. We're all in agreement that they have to be funded. They do fit the criteria for capital, and I think that's where they should stay.
Okay. And the library?
I think we should address that when we get to that presentation.
Okay, I agree. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments regarding any of the items that were spoken about on public comment this evening?
I do not, because Bob answered the first two of Mr. Ullman's questions. Again, with the capital plan, I think it should be in capital, but that's a council decision. And regarding the library funding, we'll get into that later.
Okay.
Thank you.
The only comment I have is I agree. I think the diesel exhaust, I think if it's in the contingency, we still have a problem if we go over the contingency. So maybe that needs to be reevaluated. And regarding the rest of it, I don't have any other comments this evening. Vice President Morgan?
No, I think the items he talked about should remain in capital too, because they do meet the criteria. That's just my thoughts, but I guess we can decide as a group.
Councilman Casio?
I agree.
Councilman DeSena? Oh, sorry. I thought you were
Okay.
done, Steve.
No, I'm done.
Okay. Councilman DeSena?
I disagree. I think we should put them into operating. They're small amounts, and to bond them over a 20-year period makes no sense for our residents. We should just pay them. They are part of operating. They do need those items. They can't work without them. So that's my statement on that. On the diesel exhaust, I'm very saddened to hear that it was taken out. In speaking with Mr. Connolly, he said it was about $9,000 a garage door bay. So we're looking, we're going to need a minimum of $63,000 to $70,000 to install the diesel system. That's been one of the biggest complaints from our fire department, that their clothing gets filled with diesel fume dusts because the trucks spew in the bays. To spend $6 million and possibly not have the ability to fund this important health aspect of the firehouse is saddening. I hope we could find the $63,000 in the budget somehow, because it's a necessity for these men and women, in the ambulance corps and the fire department that put their lives on the risk every day. And to build something for $6 million and not address one of the key items of having diesel soot on all their uniforms is just mind-blowing. That's all I have, Mrs. Feeney.
Thank you. Mr. Power, do you have any comments to add this evening
No.
before? Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving on, individual resolution. Resolution number 21-169, emergency temporary appropriation prior to adoption of the 2021 current budget. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Yeah.
Sue, roll call.
Can we discuss it, Mrs. Feeney?
Oh, sure. Sorry. Sure.
Mr.
Councilman
Tovo,
DeSena.
could you explain what this is for, Mr. Tovo?
Yes, we have a payment due to the library that exceeds what was allocated in the temporary budget. As you know, that temporary budget is designed to carry us through the first 3 months. So we're going to fall short in that area. On your meeting of April 5th, there'll be an additional monies added to the temporary budget to carry us until the end of the budget cycle.
Can we currently pay our bills, Mr. Tova, or are we out of money?
We have some lines that are out of money. We do.
Any reason it took so long to get the temporary budget amended?
Why are you assuming it took long to get it amended?
Because we have lines that ran out of money 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Feeney.
Okay. But in that, do you ask for the process and what happened on the evaluation maybe to the
I just
CFO?
asked Mr. Tova what happened.
Okay, Mr. Tova, did the CFO make these recommendations 2 weeks ago or what, after reviewing, you made the recommendations now?
The recommendations have been an ongoing process, and once we are beyond that 3-month initial period, it's appropriate at that point to extend the temporary budget.
And we're at that point now, is what you're saying.
We are.
Any other discussion?
No.
Okay. Sue, roll call, please.
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Okay. Okay. 2021 budget library, could you promote, oh, you did, great. Can you, I don't have the ability to do it.
And I'm going to say goodnight to all, okay?
Good night, Mr. Pollard.
Night.
Thank you for your guidance.
All right, take care.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Dr. Casio. How are you doing?
Good, fine. Good to see you.
You too.
Good evening, Laura.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good, excellent.
How are you, Laura?
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Pete. I'm just waiting to see if Mrs. Masnek is able to get on or not.
He is
You want her up
on-
there?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. We'll get her up there.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Ms. Feeney and Laura, if you have no objection, can I explain the overall budgeting process before the director starts her presentation?
That's fine with me.
Ms. Feeney, is that okay with you?
That absolutely is okay. Just, is everybody on the page that we need to be? Is everybody set with where we are on the budget lines?
57 it is.
Just to remind council, last year during the director's presentation, she had asked that the township actually pick up the cost of the healthcare, the pension, and the insurance costs. Now, while her budget was approved last year, those items were never specifically agreed to or not agreed to. So I've put them in here to bring the conversation forward. Now, if you choose to not have the township pick up those bills, which please keep in mind, we're already paying for out of those respective line items. Their pensions are included with our pensions, their healthcare costs the same, and the library insurance is included with our general GIF bill. So if you don't choose to have a town funded, what merely happens is we deduct these amounts from our statutorily allocated amount of the 618,882. All right. So there's no way to do this in Edmonds to show this as a non-monetary overall budget impact. So I have to put it here so we can have the discussion. But either way, either we cover it through areas that are already funded through health, pension, and insurance, or we deduct those amounts from the 618,882.
So that's the 69,000. You're talking about the health benefits.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Tova, when I look at the town's 2 line items for health benefits and insurance paid by township, I don't see that deduction. Am I missing something?
I don't know how you would see that in there. It's all kind of lumped together, but I can
Well,
assure
it should have
you,
reduced it by that amount.
Councilman DeSena, please let him finish.
We're
the
talking,
library employees are included with both of those overall monthly bills. Sorry, not monthly. Pension is yearly, health is monthly.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, wouldn't those two line items, if we're paying them out of here, shouldn't those two line items in the town's budget for pension and in the town's budget for insurance gone down by that amount?
Well,
We're
what's been done in the past here is that money that was paid back or reimbursed to the township has always gone to surplus.
It's gone where? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Bob, I think you faded out.
Surplus.
It goes to surplus,
Goes to surplus.
yes.
You know, it's always nice to have a surplus, but an excess surplus is not really what the taxpayers need. We need to keep that surplus for just what we need in an emergency, not to make it a bank. And unfortunately, this council, and not the present makeup, but past councils have made it a bank where we build up the surplus to be so much and then we just let it sit there. And that's not doing any justice to the taxpayer. So I have a problem with that type of accountancy.
That's
Yeah.
true. And then people weren't the government wasn't spending the money, no improvements were being made to the town, and nothing ever happened. And that's a very true statement that the money just kept getting banked.
That's it. That's right. It's like playing a game on TV. I forget what it is. Bank that money. But again, that's something that's whatever, I forget the name of the show. My wife watches it all the time. I'm a little, I can't remember the name of it, but anyway, that's,
That'll be the next new game show, Bank That Money.
Yeah, bank that money. I like it. If we can make some money off it, we're good. But regardless, again, I think, when you do that type of accounting, it throws things off. So I'd like to keep it, instead of rolling stuff over, use what we have, keep it just the minimum surplus that we need in case of emergency, instead of hitting the residents up with a tax increase. So that's my comment.
So the thought process on this, Mr. Chetwood, just explain. So moving the health benefits over as part of their budget. So can you just go over it one more time, please?
Well, first off, when it comes to pensions, we would have to fully fund that through the municipal budget because it's all paid at one time. So we couldn't wait for reimbursements to come from the library. And if they did come through the course of the year, again, they would have to go to surplus. As far as the same would apply for the GIF insurance. The only area where this could be applied would be in health insurance, which is paid monthly and therefore reimbursed monthly.
Stacy, may I speak for a moment?
Of course.
Regarding the surplus, I just want to throw in that, we all have been very good, I think, in keeping it at the suggested level by the CFO at the time and a representative from Lurch Vinci. If I'm not mistaken, they said keep it between 1.5 and 2. So it's not like we're building up any type of a huge surplus. Whatever goes in year one, we try to recommend spending in year two to bring the taxes down in that year. So I think me and the council has done a good job of that.
Yeah, and based on last year's numbers too, we decreased the pension by 5,000 last year. Originally requested was 40,000. And then also the same for the insurance, we reduced.
So I guess, Mr. Tova, my question to you is, if we want to revise this number of 618,882 to a number close to the 496, so that's the third of a mil, what would that number be? Do you know offhand?
So roughly go back down to that 496 because we would be backing out these other benefit numbers from that 618.
Okay.
But in fairness to the director, I think she should have the opportunity to make her case before we decide that.
I just want to know what the number was. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Laura, do you want to make an opening statement? Do you want us to go through the lines? How would you like to proceed?
Sure. To be honest, I have three little mini PowerPoint, because I know you guys are tight on time. I have three mini PowerPoint presentations. One is an overview of what we did in 2020. One is an overview of how we compare to other Pascack Valley libraries. And then the final one is the same budget presentation that I made to you last year, but with the 2021 numbers.
Okay.
If it's okay, I just felt like that would kind of show, different
So
things.
Go ahead. I'm good with you sharing. Is all the rest of the council good with that also?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Floor is yours.
I can screen share, correct? I don't need permission from you to do so. I can just go ahead.
Let's try it, see what happens.
If not, I'm on the button.
Okay.
Oh, the baby.
All right. So basically, under the annual report, you all know that 2020 was kind of a crazy year. The library closed officially for COVID on Friday, March 13th. Monday, March 16th, we completely went all virtual. In order to compensate for all the different circumstances going on, we increased programs and increased our digital access immediately. It was another 3 months before we were allowed by executive order to be back in the building. And then we started curbside pickup and homebound delivery in June. Buckles, our interlibrary loan delivery system, did not reactivate until August. So it was it was 5 months before, in total that delivery was down. I don't know if you remember, but in 2019, there was that big controversy about Buckles stepping away from the statewide free delivery and funding our own delivery system. It really worked to our benefit this time. New Jersey's statewide delivery system that we were getting for free didn't go up and running until November. So it was a very big difference for our patrons. Basically, the biggest challenges that we've had that are still ongoing is that the executive order is still limiting us. The capacity per square foot is still at 35%. And the state library has us quarantining all items for 72 hours. The National Network of Libraries in Medicine did case studies on how long the virus remains live and active on all of our particular materials, from paperbacks to the actual plastic coatings that we put on books and so forth. And the virus can remain live and active for up to 72 hours. So whether you return something to our library or another library, it has to be quarantined for 72 hours before it can go in transit or be returned. So not, as with everything, not exactly smooth sailing. Total circulation, 2018 was our anniversary year. We had almost 90,000. 2019 was when we were without delivery for 6 months from that New Jersey to Buckles transition. It dropped down to 73. Considering that we were 5 months without delivery and closed for 3 months, so basically 8 months of awkward services, we still circulated over 50,000 items from our library alone. When we looked at digital usage, hard copy materials were about 29,000. Digital usage more than doubled in this past year as people were utilizing it. Special things, especially Hoopla, Canopy, those types of services. Ancestry.com was a new one that we added on that had 2,300 hits just from 6 months of that one. We also added on Job Now, considering the unemployment rate skyrocketing. Tutor.com to help parents and students, as well as Fold3, which is actually for our veterans in the area. Those were only added on in August and September, so it was too early to have any state annual statistics for them. Patron engagement. We lost 30 library card holders. Most of them are professional cards, meaning our teachers in town that have to renew their cards annually. So 30 cards is not a big shocker. But what was really wonderful was that our programs featured live views on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Some were interactive, some were pre-recorded. We had almost 30,000 people watching our videos this year, which was really, really nice to see, especially being, as you all know, there's not a lot of engagement with a screen. So instead of seeing 20 little faces in story time, she didn't realize she was getting 120 little faces at home. And one of the things that we're examining is that by doing the virtual programs, you're not necessarily as worried about those kids whose bedtimes or nap times interfere with when we're offering our programs. They're archived and parents can really access the program as when fits their schedule. We were also able to offer programs like we do a cooking class every Wednesday, a book cooks program. We don't have a kitchen in the library, so that wasn't something we could offer in-house. But our adult services librarian is doing it from her apartment, and she gets 83 people every Wednesday afternoon making lunch with her, which is phenomenal. So things are definitely different, but we're definitely adapting, and it's definitely a nice response from the community to see what's going on. Usage comparison. So we wanted to take a look at overall book loans, programs, and digital. The thing that the library board and I have been most concerned about is that square footage plays such a large part as to how many people we can have in the building right now. And when it comes to the other Pascack Valley libraries, we're on the smaller side. Hillsdale is 2 floors and 20,000 square feet. When our community room is accessible and our storytime room is accessible, we have 12,000 square feet. However, those are now quarantine areas for all the bins because it's got hundreds of materials coming in every day that have to be quarantined all for 3 days. So we were worried how many people. We are doing visits by appointment so that way we can ensure safety, and we're staying under that executive order. So I had to email Buckles because this was not a statistic that I could pull from my computer. And I wanted to see in a 3-month period, this is from August to October, how many patrons are checking out at our library versus how many are going to another library. And it's roughly 3%. They could not tell me, is that 129 visits at other libraries? Is that 129 individuals? Is it 65 people each going twice? That has to do with privacy rights, so I could not find that information out. So we're looking at it as individual uses, but there are over 4,600 visits to our library in that same 3-month period. So obviously our patrons are still utilizing our library. There was, of course, different, in addition to the regular PPE standard of plexi and hand washing and all of those types of adjustments, we did install a new HVAC ionization system in September to purify the air. We felt after attending a number of different workshops, we did actually confer with former Councilman Cummings to see how his opinions on it, as well as our HVAC system techs. They recommended it over the UV lights and the MERV filters based on our floor plan layout being so open. So this way the system is constantly going. It does kill off coronavirus particles, and it helps with just general allergens in the library, like dust and things that tend to build up. We did install the outdoor locker system. We are the only library in Pascack Valley to have this. This allows patrons to pick up items 24/7, even when libraries closed due to snow and things like that. If they had their item put in the locker, they can just go scan their library card and pick it up. WCTV did a nice little feature on it a couple months ago when it was installed in August, and it's been very popular. We also had approved bathroom upgrades for more no contact surfaces, so censored faucets and toilets and things like that to help with the COVID virus spread. However, as like everybody is doing those same kind of upgrades, so a lot of the materials were back ordered and it's currently still in process. So that was kind of my overview for 2020. The other thing that we did take a look at was how is it comparing to all the other Pascack Valley libraries. So the first thing that we wanted to look at was hours of service, because obviously we're not open nights and we're only open half-day Saturdays right now because of sanitizing. Everybody's hours are different. We are open 9 hours a day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Thursday, Friday from 9 to 5, and Saturday from 2 to 5. You look at our neighboring libraries, Hillsdale is closed every Friday and Sunday and only open certain hours on Saturday. We wanted to make sure that even though our doors weren't completely open, staff is in there and available. Our children's librarian is taking calls at 6 and 7 in the morning with parents who work and have kids in school and can't get there after hours. So staff is very much flexible and assisting patrons as much as we can. When you look at access, the biggest thing is that when you do open doors for full browsing, the homebound delivery and the curbside go away. We simply don't have enough staff or the hours management-wise to facilitate all of it. And with such a large number of demographics in our town who are at high risk, we get a lot of curbside and homebound delivery requests. Right now, we're offering all. You do have browsing, but it's by appointment, locker pickup, as well as home delivery and curbside pickup. So we're one of the libraries that are really able to hit everything based on size. Some libraries are still just curbside. Some are doing the same thing we're doing, like Old Tapan, where it's by appointment. It really depends, again, not just on their square footage, but the setup of the building. Those of you who have been in the library know our circulation desk area is very small. In addition to the executive order for maximum capacity, we also have to be aware of the different labor laws with it, and we have to keep staff so many feet apart and things like that. So while also not going over hours for part-timers, and there's so many different things that come into it. We did also look at programming. As I mentioned before, we went right into it that Monday after we closed. We didn't reduce anything, is basically what went on. Most libraries reduced down to some just 2 and 3 weekly programs and a handful of monthly programs. We still offer the same what we did in the library when it was open full doors, 11 weekly programs for story times, book clubs, cooking sessions, everything, in addition to roughly 15 monthly programs that are special events, art drawing classes, what do they call it? Armchair art walks through Paris and things like that. So and of course, having that 30,000 attendance really does show how much, our patrons are responding to it. When it comes to the budget proposal, I just updated with new numbers what I had showed all of you last year. So current funding, the current $350,000 amount that Mr. Ullman was referring to, the amount is $618,882. You do need the state librarian's permission to go above that if you are funding above the $350,000. Currently, that money goes to all of the listed expenditures. We went over them last year. Salaries, of course, are always the biggest, but the second biggest is benefits. Now, each town has the option of what they're covering for their library. And I do have a chart to show other Pascack Valley libraries, not only their full appropriation, this amount here, but also in addition to that, what they are covering. So hopefully that'll help answer Mr. Ullman's question as well. With the town helping out by covering the health insurance and the pension, it really changes around. Everything is going towards public outreach. It doesn't, 1% is the uptick in salaries for the state minimum wage being raised over the next few years. But really it's going mostly towards, you can see materials would go up 6%, programs would go up 7%. Utilities would be expected because we would want to be increasing library hours with the additional funding. We want to obviously increase online and print materials, increasing online services as a whole, and expanding programs and the workshop schedule. Everything, like I said, is public outreach that the money would be going towards. Specifically, I had listed a couple of different ideal situations. Again, mostly things outdoors nowadays, and outdoor programs, obviously limited capacities, social distancing. With us having now gotten officially back into the red, it's basically where we were a year ago, which is, very disheartening for all of us. But we do feel that we can safely offer some programs outdoors over the next few months, especially as the weather gets nicer. We're prepared to close off our parking lot. It's only 10 spaces and we have plenty of side street parking. We're looking at doing stroller story time starting in the spring. Some outdoor art classes for adults and seniors. We have a list of programs. You should be actually getting the spring newsletter pretty soon. And we're starting with just a handful in May. And then we're planning on most of our programs being outside during the summer. But we are also still getting phone calls from the public who want to not really get together with people right now. So we are finding ways to stream them live or archive them. So we're having a number of different things going down. During the last recession, I had mentioned last time, library usage went up 20%, but the appropriation goes down. The appropriation numbers, as I think I've presented many budgets to a couple of you now. They fluctuate, as it's based on an equalized property value. So as the property values go up and down, the library appropriation goes up and down. What I can show you is the Pascack Valley financial comparison. So I know Mr. DeSena likes populations, so I made sure to include populations this time, Mr. DeSena. So population of all the towns, as you can see, we're kind of in the middle for Pascack Valley. 2021 appropriations, we're on the smaller end of everything.
Mrs. Rifkin, can you blow that up a little? We can't read it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I'm sorry. Let's see. Is that a little better?
Yes.
Okay, and I can email it out too. It's just an Excel spreadsheet. But you can see, Hillsdale gets their 1/3 of a mill appropriation. The town then also gives them an excess of that 1/3 of a mill to cover health insurance and pension. Montvale has one of the smallest appropriations, but they've got so many ratables. They have so many businesses in Montvale that the library has a very high 1/3 of a mill. They also get over by $60,000, plus they have DMF services and legal services. Each town is different. At different points in time during different administrations, different things for the libraries are covered. We'd like it to be a little bit more, you're looking at sustainability and continuity. So this way, when people are averaging your budgets and your offerings for the public, you know what to expect. Westwood has a very high average. Again, so many businesses in town. They do get $30,000 and their pension and health insurance is covered by the town. With all of the towns listed, they handle repairs and replacements on a case-by-case basis. 20% is over the appropriation is the highest permitted by law without going to the state librarian. It is outside the regular cap that you guys work on. The average, though, is really only 3 to 5%, or most towns offer to pay for the health insurance and pension. So it's, I guess when, Bob and I are talking about it, it's not, I don't deal with Edmunds, thank God. So it's a very different accounting system than you guys obviously deal with. We do more QuickBooks and things like that. So when we're looking at it, we're looking to utilize the whole $618,000 towards the library without having back payments to the town to take out from that the pension and the health insurance. So we just want to get that 618. And as Bob had said, being as those figures for the health insurance and pension are already accounted for in other line items for the town. I'm not sure how it looks in Edmonds, but we really wanted to get from that one wheel to the next, where we're putting more money towards the actual usage of what we can do for the public and get it closer to this kind of a scenario where we have more hours for people because we know that they're going to be needing them, where we have more programs for people, especially unemployment programs and workshops for people to get jobs. We had ordered laptops to start circulating because one of the hardest things for all libraries right now are the computers. You can't spray down a piece of technology with Lysol after every use. In the 6 weeks that we were open 10 weeks that we were open in 2020, we had over 1,000 people in the library to use the computers. And that was before a recession. We're going to be having many more, and we have to try to figure out the best way to have them use the technology, but also not destroy the technology with sanitizing so much. So we did purchase some laptops to start circulating. They just arrived yesterday. We're installing them with screen sharing software, so that way we can do remote computer classes with some of our patrons who don't know how to do things like emailing and whatnot. We're working with job search agencies and recruitment officers to help revise resumes and things like that. They can have the meetings from the laptops that they can borrow for a week at a time. And we have purchased UV lights to sanitize them because this way it'll be a little bit easier and quicker of a turnaround. So. I can't hear Stacy. I don't know if anybody else can.
I can't hear her either.
Stacy, can't hear you.
That was a wonderful presentation, Mrs. Rifkin. Hello, Mrs. Masnick.
Before I was so used to talking like this. I don't know how you guys do it. I'm chugging my water here because my throat is getting so dried out.
Try teaching 28 college students on Zoom. It is not.
Try teaching the youth of Newark for 4 hours a day.
It's not fun.
It's
I
hard.
don't envy anybody that has to teach or do anything on Zoom all day long.
No.
No, I will say the programs that you've had, the arts and crafts, the classes, even the story times, we've been watching them and they've been amazing. And you can pick up kits and go home and have the class. It's been really amazing. I would love to see the cooking class at lunch. I mean, I'm on Zoom all day in Teams for work, so see if I can get some time maybe to attend one. But you guys during the pandemic and even like some of the tutoring things you've been offering for the school, I've had a few calls from parents and they said they amazing, especially in the reading area and the math area.
Oh, good. I'm so
So-
glad.
Yeah, for the reading with the kids. I mean, and I hear just nothing but positives.
Good. It's nice because it's at times like this, the town really has a lot of red tape, that you guys can and can't do. Whereas we're a little bit more relaxed about certain things. We knew that there were certain seniors that had recently had surgeries right before the pandemic hit, ones that live alone that we know that we can call and check up on. There's nobody assigned from town hall to do that. And we're really happy to do that. We're very happy when we hear that they're okay. Usually we have 250 people for our Irish step dancing program every year. It's one of our biggest events. We close down the whole library for it. It takes up the entire space. We obviously couldn't do that this year. Instead, we sent them a Zoom link to a program and prepackaged Irish soda bread and tea. And people were so excited to come and pick it up. And those that couldn't come and pick it up, we went to their houses and dropped it off. And it's been a great community building time, if nothing else.
Yeah, and the lockers are great, I have to say. I hear great things about the lockers. A couple of people have said, I've got my own dedicated locker, basically. I'm the only one picking up.
Good.
I'm picking up every day. So that's great.
Laura, it's Desiree. Can I ask a question? Did you get any grants this year for 2021?
So most of the grants that we applied for this year are FEMA related. They are not quick turnarounds. We did apply for a number of them. We applied actually to have the lockers reimbursed for us, as well as a number of our COVID expenses. So like the plexiglass, things like that. We rerouted our budget to angle more towards, we do a budget reallocation every so often to readdress things. So we reallocated to the digital services when things were completely shut down. We changed up a lot to be, especially being as we were closed, we saved a lot on like our utility bills and things like that. So we redirected that towards any public outreach that we could. So we applied, I believe all in total, it was 3 grants that we applied for, as well as the building grant. I don't know if you remember that I had a presentation on that. We did not make it. They broke it up into 2 rounds of funding. We didn't make it for the first round. I did Oprah request the comments from the scoring card. So that way I could address that with the grant writer. We're revising. And then there's going to be the second round starts June 1st.
Okay.
So we still have that going.
So the air purifier, are you also putting that as part of your expenses?
That was part of the FEMA one, yeah.
Okay.
And have you been reimbursed any of the CARES Act money, Mrs. Rifkin?
No, it takes forever with that one. So, and I believe, to be honest with you, I think that it almost comes through the town for it because you guys have the specific location number. So I know Bob is aware of what we've applied for. So this way he can let us know if it ever comes through.
With the utilities, did you also get a refund on Buckles since we didn't have Buckles operating all those months?
We did.
Okay.
We did. We got a refund on Buckles. They granted everybody back, I believe it was close to $3,000. It got divided amongst all 76 libraries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we go through the budget? Does anybody have any more general questions or?
Does Mrs. Maznick have anything to say?
Thank you for having me here.
Okay, and everybody received the new pages in their email, correct?
New
Okay.
page. No.
It was Steve, it was emailed to you.
Okay. Just tell me what the changes. Just tell me what the changes are when we get to it.
So on the first line on the contribution due after expense, no, that's still the same.
No, it's plus 122.
Stacy, when was it emailed?
You emailed it. I have to hold on. I have to
If I
open my
can
email.
find it and forward it out.
I think it was part of the packet, maybe.
Yeah, hold on.
And it came from Bob?
Just give me the number.
So I don't recall sending it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't recall seeing it. That's why I'm asking, but I could have missed it. Let me see. I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm showing that was part of the agenda that Sue sent out, and the file name was backup 21-169. Not sure what that meant, but there were 3 pages for the library.
Oh, that was, no, that was for the resolution tonight, Mayor.
Okay, sorry.
No, I hoped you'd had it, so I could have found it and sent it out to everybody. Yeah, that was just what the CFO wanted to include to show the payment on those numbers on that resolution tonight.
Gotcha.
Thanks for trying.
Yep.
Yeah, that was part of the resolution. Sorry, my mistake. Okay, so library contribution due after expense, 618,882. Can you guys not hear me still?
No, we can hear you.
Just making sure. It was so quiet. Hey. Do we want to have discussion?
Yes, please.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
$122,882 more than all the years, significantly.
So Mrs. Rifkin's made a great presentation the last 4 times for me, and we've always denied this request. And unfortunately, in these COVID world, we're trying to pinch all our pennies we can. But in this line item this year, I'm going to agree with Mrs. Rifkin that we pay this expense, even though it's a lot of money to our taxpayers. For all of us that pay our taxes, it is a lot of money, but I think it's a vital service she and the library board provide to the town. And I would like to make a motion to approve it as the mayor recommended.
I agree. I think we should approve it as is. I've actually said that prior year also when the requested was more. I think that especially because of the services provided during this past pandemic or the current pandemic, hopefully we're at the end, that we continue and expand her programs even more. My family enjoys the library immensely, and I know so many parents, residents, and seniors enjoy it on a regular basis. We should absolutely approve the full amount. So anyone else have any comments or more discussion?
I'm a no. It's too much.
Are we taking a motion and maybe a vote, Stacy?
Yeah, well, it's going to see if anybody else had any other comments because I got crucified last time when I didn't allow everybody to have their say.
Well, I think Ms. Rifkin made a great presentation. I do think, we are using the services more, and the services are even costing more because we have to retrofit the library for the contagion. So I am in favor of increasing that line item, but maybe not as much. Maybe if we can trim it back a little bit. Again, I wish we weren't in this situation, but things are tight, but we do have a great program and it has improved, and she has really made the service of the library fantastic from what it's been. And I appreciate that, Laura. You've done a great job. But if you can understand, I'd like to give you more than the $496 from last time, but I don't want to go to $618 because that's a huge jump. I'd like to give you more, maybe do it gradually. And if we had it, I'd give it all to you. But I think we got to pinch some pennies. I'm sorry.
Mr. Cascio, can I further explain that? The 618 is that's the required amount that the library will receive.
That's 3/4 of a mil, right?
Right, but the 496 you're referring to in prior years is after we would take those other 3 lines and deduct them from the 496.
I understand that. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor from Councilman DeSena for the 618,882. I'll second the motion. Sue, roll call.
Councilman Cascio?
Yes.
Councilman DeSena?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
No.
Council President Feeney.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations, Mrs. Ripken.
Thank you all so much. I do appreciate all the thought and comments
You
and
too, Mrs.
everything. you put
Bassett.
into it.
My
Thank you.
favorite kindergarten teacher of all time.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it's well deserved. Your efforts over the last year really are amazing.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Will do. Thank you all.
Okay, moving on to health benefits paid by township, 69,000. Do we need discussion?
I'm okay with it.
Is
I'm
that
okay
the
with it.
number? That's the number? That's a hard
Laura-
number?
Laura,
Mr.
that's the number's good in there, the 69,000?
Yes,
Okay.
That's an actual invoice, right? By the number of
That's what I'm-
employees.
that's the number that Bob, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. The CFO and you guys usually renegotiate every April.
That is correct. And this year we're looking at about a 2% increase. So that's what you're seeing there.
Okay.
So it's reflected.
All right, let's take a vote on it just to make sure. I'll make a motion for the 69,000. Can I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
So,
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
yes. Okay, library insurance paid by township, 15,500. I'm seeing that the spend last year was 7,000 less. Is that due to because of the closure?
Or are we missing an invoice?
Go ahead, Bob.
No, because last year it was not clear as to the council's intent when it came to absorbing some of these costs on behalf of the library. We did absorb half the cost of the insurance.
That's why it's less. Okay.
Right.
So this year it's with the increase, it's about where it should be then, is what you're saying. Correct, Mr.
Right.
Tovo?
Correct. Can you hear
We
me?
need, yes, no, sorry, yes. Okay, do we need to discuss or is everybody good with this line?
I don't understand Mr. Tovo's response because we funded that line last year, $14,553. And I see a lot of reclasses in the library. So did that maybe just get missed, Mr. Tovo, by the CFO?
No. Like I said, we paid for half of it. The library paid the other half because when Ms. Rifkin made her request that the town absorb these expenses, there was never a clear decision made by council. So
Yeah, but there was because we funded it $14,553.
yes, you approved her budget, but you never approved whether or not we were actually going to have them reimburse us for these three lines. So the intent Ms. Rifkin and I discussed was to bring this up first thing in this budget year and get the question answered. So out of fairness to her, we absorbed half the cost, they absorbed the other half.
I understand. Okay. I'm okay with it, Mrs. Feedy.
Okay, good. Okay, because originally last year was administration what requested was 20,000. We brought it down from 20 to 14,553. So I'm good with it. Does anyone else need any further discussion there?
That is the actual cost, right, Mr. Tovo?
That is,
It's a hard number. Okay.
So let's I'll make a motion for the 15,500. Need a second? Okay, Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Okay, we're on to library improvements to building. Last year, there was no request. I believe that was because of the project you were going for, the grants.
Correct.
this year-
We're going for the same, so.
Okay, so you have 7,000 requested by the administration. Would the administration or Mrs. Rifkin, would you have any comments regarding the 7,000?
It's
Yes,
got a
and
note, Ms. Feeny. It says half the cost of HVAC upgrades on page 58.
Yes, I just wanted to, if they wanted to comment on that line. Yeah.
Director, I'll defer to you. That was your request.
That was one, I'm not sure where we're at with, that was when we had worked on with Councilman Cummings. He was doing that big grant for all the town buildings to be upgraded. We had one HVAC unit that was not included in the previous grants that he was trying to help us be included with some of the town buildings that were being updated. 6 of our 7 HVAC units were updated. The one archaic one that's still up there is the only one that still needs to be updated. It's still hanging on, but we'd like to see if we can get, being as they have to rent the crane to bring everything up, it just is a major expense for one single unit. So we were trying to put a cushion in there for if that has to happen.
So I think that's great that you're going to replace that, and especially with the plan. So I'd make a motion for the 7,000.
I'll second it.
Do we need to have anybody else want to discuss, or can we vote? Okay, Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena,
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan,
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes,
Mrs. Feeney, can I ask Mrs. Rifkin one question?
sure.
Mrs. Rifkin, has the damage to your roof been repaired yet from Tropical Storm Isaias?
No, not yet.
What is
Everything
going
has
on?
melted off. JQ did provide us with the quote. We actually did get the money already from the insurance company to cover the cost of it. It was just a matter, like with everybody's roofing. I don't know if anybody of you have tried to handle roofers. Even personally at my house right now, it's a
They
nightmare.
can't. There
Yeah.
isn't any roofer available. We have a property and we can't even get. There's a huge leak, and they're like, "I'm really sorry. We're like 6 weeks out."
They did email me the other day that we are on the schedule. They are hoping to get to us by the end of April. So that is good. The library is also asking them to put gutters on the front of the building so that way we can have that done as well. As you know, we get a lot of ice on our handicapped walkway and in front of the lockers that are now there. So I'm just pinging them for everything while they're actually there because I don't want them to step away. So it's not fixed yet. We do inspect it regularly just to make sure it's not, causing any further damage to the building. And so far, so good.
Okay, thank you.
I do know it is, for getting a roofer these days, it's like they're just few and far between, and especially with the snow, they're all working. Okay. Anybody else have any other comments?
No.
Ms. Feeney, we do have one more section to go over with the director on
Yes.
page 64.
Yes. Thank you,
This
Mr.
is,
Joba.
Municipal Alliance. So it's up to you if you want to hang out.
Not that bad.
If it's okay, is it okay for me to move forward with Municipal Alliance?
Yeah, does anybody have any other questions before we move to that?
No.
No? Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay. So this is my other hat in the township. It's completely separate from the library, and it's the Township Municipal Alliance. I'm going to just do another screen share here with you all so that way you can see it clearly. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, the Municipal Alliance, it's the statewide initiative where the funds that are accrued and taken from DUI, DWI, and drug-related charges, they're put towards preventative education programs in local communities. So the funding is usually broken down into a grant portion that we get from the state, as well as a cash match portion that the town contributes and is responsible for, in addition to volunteer hours, which do an in-kind match amount. The goal of the program as a whole is wonderful. It's to educate across all age ranges, specifically addressing the abuse of drugs, alcohol, and more recently, an awareness for the importance of mental health. The local municipal alliance is comprised of a set of volunteers who meet criteria that is set forth by the state. Usually it's 2 representatives from a series of about 12 demographics. I've listed a few of them here for you to see, but it's basically to ensure that no one demographic in the town is gearing everything towards one set. So we have representatives from the senior citizens to students in town. I've run it for about, I want to say 4 years now. It used to be the borough administrator, I want to say before that. In order to receive the Municipal Alliance funding, I have to attend different quarterly trainings and informational workshops that's led by a county coordinator. Those meetings kind of go over all the eligible programs, the annual grant application that has to be filed, all the statistical information that we have to provide them and the information from local police reports. Basically, what they want to see is what we're dealing with in our community. So is 1 year more underage drinking a bigger problem in town versus drug usage, things like that. And then supporting criteria for it. As the police investigate each different instance, is it a bullying issue? Is it a peer pressure issue? Is it parents not knowing the laws and what happens when parties occur on their properties, things like that. So the grant funding also has restrictions based on all of this information. So they break down the funding to presenters versus supplies. So we can support things like we just did some lawn signs for stigma free. That goes under supplies. When we have a program at the high school where they hire a speaker, that goes under presenters. But it's limited into that we can only address issues as the data presents under the Municipal Alliance umbrella. These are the annual programs that are usually approved under that application. So usually we are able to fund one of the elementary school programs. It's usually a larger scale presentation or a workshop that includes parents and children. It targets those key areas of bullying, peer pressure, communication skills, things like that. All third graders in town also go through the Footprints for Life program from the Center of Alcohol Center with Mary Grace Flynn. I don't know if any of you know her. She's phenomenal. So that addresses self-confidence, communication skills, again, conflict management. We get a lot of positive feedback from the third grade teachers every year on this one and a lot of the parents as well. The high school also has two programs. One is the drunk driving program right before prom. We also provide the that drunk driving car that they drive around in the parking lot to get the goggles on and whatnot, as well as a presentation for the whole school. It's usually on a specific topic. Guidance counselors are on the Municipal Alliance volunteer list, so they do weigh in and they are provided with a list of programs by the Municipal Alliance each year that they can choose from that they know are already pre-approved. We also contribute to Junior Police Academy. I'm not going to read it verbatim. You guys all know how to read. And the Stigma Free program. So that supports different families and individuals with mental health and special needs. I know that Junior Police is also funded by a couple of other areas, mostly the Women's Club. I don't know if, I'm sure that you guys may already be aware that the Women's Club is dissolving at the end of this month.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, they were just about to hit, I think it was 60 years in November, but their membership is severely down and they'll be dissolving at the end of the month.
So they don't meet their requirements then. Oh.
Yeah. So I think they have one more dispensement of funds to give the program, but after that, that won't be able to be assisting any longer. The Women's Club is near and dear to my heart because it actually started the library back in the 60s. So they started it as an association. They built things up. They have done so much for so many different areas of the town. We are doing a side note. We are doing a little section for them in the local history room. So their photographs and minutes and things will be kept there. What we're asking for in the budget. So in the wake of the COVID pandemic, the state funding for the program was reallocated to COVID expenses. It was one of the areas they knew that the school wasn't really meeting, so they were able to pull it from there. Obviously, that's kind of understandable with all this stuff happening. The thing is, it drastically reduces the state funding of the program to about a third of what it was before. Now we're hoping, and the county coordinators are hoping that this is temporary because hopefully the COVID pandemic needs are temporary. We just don't know how temporary. Is this going to be a 2-year thing, a 3-year thing, a 4-year thing? We're not really sure yet. In the past, we would get just under $10,000 from grant funding, and we would be expected to do the cash match out of the town's budget of about $2,400. Now it's grant funded, but it's also reimbursed. So you have it on your budget as like a grant line, but you also had to put the money out first and then wait for it to come back. The hard thing with this particular grant program is that it runs on a different fiscal year than you guys do. It runs from July 1st to June 30th, as opposed to a January to December. Not fun for any of us who have to submit POs and things like that. The new funding for this year is only $3,000 and change, with a cash match of a certain percentage. So obviously that's lowered as well. So we've gone from about $12,300 to just under $4,000 for the whole year's programs. We were hoping that there might be a chance that the town could supplement and do the Municipal Alliance at it's actually $1,000 from what above what it was before. $3,000 would be obviously reimbursed by the grant. but the rest would be out of the town's budget. It not only allows the existing successful programs to continue, but because it does not have to adhere strictly to the grant standards, there's also some issues that have been popping up in town over the last couple of years. The statistics are not high enough to fit into the Municipal Alliance program, but we know that they're coming up. They're getting worse and worse every year. You know, it was like things like vaping, but now we're seeing more issues with senior health and mental health. We had wanted to do a program called Safety Township for kids between the ages of 5 and 8. Student anxiety is up quite a bit. Obviously, it got even worse with the COVID pandemic, but we have a lot of kids who have a lot of anxiety regarding school, are starting medications, or having problems pre and post medications, as well as better funding for stigma free. I had said that that was like a newer thing that was tied into Municipal Alliance. It's like all of $500 of the Municipal Alliance budget that was tagged for stigma free. It's very hard to find a program person of a certain caliber to give a talk, let alone have a talk and a program or outreach event for that kind of money. For the $13,000 that we could fund it, about $10,000 from the township budget, we would be able to kind of start addressing some of these issues that we've been seeing pop up in town before they're actually high enough that Municipal Alliance would step in and hopefully helps out some local families to address these concerns. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you.
No problem. I know it's a random ask. We haven't needed additional funding for this program in the past.
No, but that's sad. The funding has gone down significantly.
We're hoping it's temporary, like so many of this stuff, but it is one that, especially with schools being back in person, with plans of being back in person, these are programs that the teachers also at certain points a year really request, because the kids get kind of tense at different points of year. So like Footprints for Life almost always happens in every February, because that's when they start seeing these behavioral issues start coming about. So we know that sliding that in there is a help for both parents and teachers.
There's a lot of mental health grants out there, though. I mean, I really hope that the grant writer is doing his due diligence with searching for those, those type of grants for you, because especially right now, there is a ton of mental health grants out there. To maybe offset some of the things you want to do with stigma free and all of that, and programming, and expanding more upon the programs you offer for, you're right, paying somebody to come, and altruism is one thing, but it's still their time, and a lot of people aren't going to want to do that on a continuous basis. So I hope he's looking for those type of grants as well.
Have you spoken with him? Have you been working with him?
A little bit here and there. A lot of what we do is coming down the pike from Christine Hill over at the county agency.
Okay.
And she kind of does send us different notifications of things that because this is already in alignment with what from Jacada, which is the organization that funds this one.
Right.
So if she knows that it's already applicable, she's sending us things, but there's, the revenue that they used to get on the state level is just so depleted, not only because a lot of people, we weren't traveling, so there were no drunk driving incidents during that period and things like that. So they're not only reducing the funding that they were able to give, but the funds that they were given were reduced as well. Which it sounds horrible saying that that's unfortunate, because you don't want people to be getting into those situations.
Right.
But at the same time, funding
Foresight is unfortunate that they can't, they're using every excuse to not see it for what it actually is. And there's not been a downtick because we're just better at things.
Yeah.
Because of the,
And medications right now too. A lot of people are trying to self-medicate and whatnot going on in the wake of everything, PTSD from COVID itself. So we're kind of all nervous and on edge. We want to make sure that we can address some things in our community as quickly as possible. So
sure.
And even just the 1 hour Zooms and seeing other people and having those conversations really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first line, we're on page 64, Municipal Alliance match, municipal share 3,127.
I'm okay.
I'm good with it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, so let's just take a vote. It's just one line. Make a motion for the 3127.
Second,
Okay. Sue?
Councilman Casio.
yes.
Councilman DeSena.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
And Council President Feeney.
Yes. The next line is Municipal Alliance, the grant share. I'll make a motion for the 10,174. I think based upon the presentation, it's warranted. Anybody want a second, or do we want to have discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, do we want to have further discussion, or everybody's good?
I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, Sue, roll call, please.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman DeSena.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Mr. Chovo, those are all the lines, correct?
That is correct.
Just making sure I didn't miss anything. So we don't have any more for you, Mrs. Rifkin. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
I just wanted to make sure that that was the end.
I
of
did-
it.
I didn't know if anybody had any more comments either. That's why I was waiting. So,
Thank you all so much. If any of you have any questions or anything, please feel free to, you all have my email address, or if any of you happen to see anything that you think might fit with Municipal Alliance, please feel free. As Ms. Morgan said, there's a lot out there, so it's very possible we miss something occasionally, and we really appreciate the double check.
and thank you for the presentations. They were very professional and very well done.
Oh, thank you. Lots of Zoom skills building too.
You should teach a Zoom class. That's what you should be doing. I'm not kidding. You should be at some of the meetings I'm on with some of the people that don't know how to use Zoom.
I am actually making note of it now, so we'll see what we can do.
Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, and there's on WebEx. Those are the 4 big ones. It's actually quite comical in some of the meetings.
Thank you all very, very much for your time this evening. I appreciate
Nice
it.
to see you, Mr. DeSena, Ms. Morgan. How are you?
How are you?
See you,
Good.
Mrs. Madnick.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
You too. Thank you, Mrs. Rifkin.
Thanks, Cindy and Laura.
Bye, Pete.
Bye.
Okay, so that was a nice, productive meeting. Thank you very much. Smooth budget for library. That's really great. I'm glad we were able to fund their projects. That's phenomenal. Motion to close, motion to adjourn. Sorry, go ahead.
Mrs. Feeney, can we, I know we've been waiting for the schedule of the future budget meetings that we haven't received. I
I'm
know
working-
the deadline is 5 days from now, so can we ask Mrs. Witkowski to ask for an extension since the budget's due on March 30th?
The budget's due,
March
was-
30th.
I thought it was April, it said.
That's the adoption. Intro, they say March 30th, adoption is April 30th.
Correct. So it's 5 days from now. There's no way we're going to make that. So can we ask for an extension?
Stacy, we're not hearing you.
We can't hear you, Stacy.
I don't know what you're saying.
What you're saying?
My sign language is not good. Sorry,
I'm not
gang.
good.
Your Italian isn't good.
One,
Sounds like
You're gonna go and come back in?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
bye.
That was good, Mrs. Morgan. You could read that.
Ding, ding,
I'm
ding.
very good at charades.
I don't even know what to do with that. So
Okay.
I swear to God.
Good try. Desiree gets the points, though.
Desiree got all the points because she figured out what you were saying.
We need like a sign, a whiteboard that says, I'll be right
There
back.
you go. There you go.
I have no idea what's going on tonight. I actually had no problems today whatsoever at work. So no idea.
You use too much of your internet during the day.
You're limited.
They're slowing your broadband down because you use too much during the day. There you go. Like the cell
Probably.
phone companies.
Probably my first call was at 6 a.m. So, you know. Okay. So yes, we're going to file for the extension. Guys, just so you know, we may have to do a couple of Saturdays after Easter. That following weekend, obviously not Easter weekend. So we'll look at the calendar. We're also trying to coordinate the department heads. So next up will be DPW, since the previous meetings we didn't have a quorum. So if that works for everybody. If we can't do DPW though, if for a scheduling conflict, I'll send an email out and let you know which one we're going to do next.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So just so you know, Saturdays have to be after 3 for me, unfortunately. I work.
So if we stick to Monday and Thursday, and if we can't do Saturdays, can you please let me know specifically what days during the week and what times? If you could send me like a little blurb in an email, please, and let me know so I can coordinate days. We may have to, go a little longer. I don't want to go too late because I think we get punchy, but
Not us, not ever.
How dare
What are
you?
you talking about, man?
I concluded myself with that. So,
Okay, I'll send you dates.
Motion to adjourn before this goes too far.
Before it does get punchy.
we're gonna have a punch bowl. We're gonna have a punch bowl as our little mascot here.
Yeah,
Okay,
man.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe.
Thanks for a good
to see
meeting.
everyone.
Thank you.